Before the mind has time to analyze, before the voice inside begins to question, something deeper already knows. The body feels what words cannot express. It senses alignment, dissonance, harmony, or resistance. Energy recognizes energy long before understanding takes shape. Every human being carries a certain vibration, shaped by thoughts, emotions, actions, and the unseen quality of intention. This vibration is what speaks first when two souls meet. You can call it intuition, resonance, or simply awareness, but in truth, it is the ancient language of energy communicating through presence. When you walk into a room, you can feel when the atmosphere is heavy, even if no one speaks. You can sense when someone is genuine or when something feels off, even if they smile politely. The body perceives what the eyes cannot see. It reads frequencies. When two people's energies are similar in purity, rhythm, or purpose, a silent recognition occurs. It's not about attraction in the usual sense. It's not about appearance, status, or charm. It's something deeper, an inner nod that says, I know you. Not because of memory, but because of familiarity in vibration. The meeting of energies is not always pleasant. Sometimes you meet someone whose energy mirrors your unresolved parts. You feel drawn to them, not because they are meant to stay, but because they are meant to show you something hidden within yourself. Energy does not lie. It reflects truth with precision. That's why some connections feel like calm water, while others feel like fire. Both have purpose. One soothes, one transforms, one reminds you of balance, the other exposes your imbalance. To live consciously is to recognize what each energetic encounter reveals about your own state. Energy recognition happens beyond the surface of behavior. You may not understand why you trust one person instantly or why you feel distant from another despite their kindness. The explanation is not psychological but energetic. Two frequencies either harmonize or clash. Just as two musical notes can create a pleasing chord or an uncomfortable dissonance, the meeting of energies either produces flow or friction. The wise do not judge this, they observe. They understand that resonance does not mean possession and that dissonance is not rejection. It is simply feedback from the field of life, showing what is aligned and what is not. When you are grounded and centered, your energy field becomes clear. You attract what resonates with clarity and repel what doesn't. This is why inner work matters. The more peaceful and integrated your inner world becomes, the more peaceful the energies you draw into your life. Chaos attracts chaos. Stillness attracts stillness. Many people try to change the world outside, unaware that the outer is only reflecting the inner. If you wish to experience harmony in relationships, cultivate harmony within. Then, energy that no longer matches that state will naturally drift away, and energy that reflects your peace will enter effortlessly. Recognition is not always a call to attachment. Sometimes, when energy recognizes energy, it is only meant to awaken something dormant. Two souls can meet briefly yet trigger a transformation that lasts a lifetime. The universe arranges these encounters precisely. Some people enter your life not to stay, but to remind you of what you are capable of feeling. They awaken your awareness of how deeply you can see, love, or be present. When that lesson is integrated, the resonance may dissolve, for its purpose has been served. Energy always moves toward growth, and what no longer serves evolution fades naturally. There is also a quiet knowing that arises when energy truly aligns. You feel safe not because circumstances are perfect, but because presence itself feels familiar. There is no need to impress, no urge to perform, no fear of judgment. Communication becomes effortless, and even silence feels complete. This is the power of energetic harmony. It dissolves the boundaries created by the mind. You no longer seek validation or control. You simply allow connection to unfold at its own rhythm. In such moments, the body relaxes, the mind quiets, and the heart expands. That is how you know the energy before you is not draining, but nourishing. Many chase connection without realizing they are seeking resonance. They mistake intensity for depth, drama for destiny. True energetic recognition is not loud. It is subtle, grounded, and peaceful. It does not create obsession. It creates understanding. It does not demand attention. It invites presence. The difference lies in awareness. When you are unconscious, energy recognition feels like emotional chaos. When you are conscious, it feels like spiritual clarity. Both are forms of recognition, but only one leads to growth. The other binds you to repetition. Energy speaks through sensation. It tells you when to stay and when to go. The body tightens when something is off and softens when something is right. The heart knows the truth even when logic refuses to accept it. When you begin to trust that language, you no longer need constant reassurance. You can feel the difference between what uplifts and what drains, between love that expands and love that contracts. This discernment is the foundation of wisdom in relationships. To recognize energy is also to recognize yourself. Every encounter mirrors a part of your own field. When someone's energy irritates you, they may be showing you a fragment of your own resistance. When someone's peace calms you, they may be reflecting your own inner stillness. In this way, every connection becomes a teacher and every person a mirror. The external world is a dance of energy interacting with energy, guiding you toward greater awareness of what you are projecting and attracting. When you understand this, you move through life differently. You stop chasing and start observing. You stop labeling people as good or bad and start reading their vibration as information. You begin to see that every encounter is either resonance or revelation, either harmony or healing. The heart becomes less reactive and more receptive. You learn to meet others not through expectation, but through presence. Energy recognition is not mystical, it is natural. It is the oldest intelligence of the human being. The intellect came later. Animals sense danger, children sense authenticity, nature responds to emotion. Everything in existence moves according to energetic truth. When you tune into that frequency, you return to your original knowing. You begin to live in alignment with life itself, where the right people arrive not by effort, but by resonance, and the wrong ones fade not by rejection, but by difference in vibration. In the end, to know whether someone is meant for you is not about signs, words, or promises. It is about the energetic response within your own being. When energy recognizes energy, the body feels peace, the mind becomes quiet, and the soul remembers something timeless. In a world that glorifies intensity, we often mistake excitement for truth. The rush, the spark, the butterflies. They feel alive, intoxicating, undeniable. But not everything that excites you is meant for you. Excitement can come from the unfamiliar, from the stimulation of the ego, from the thrill of possibility rather than the peace of reality. Calmness, on the other hand, is often quiet and easily overlooked. Yet it is the true indicator of alignment. When something or someone is right for you, you do not feel a storm inside, you feel a deep stillness. The heart does not race, it rests. The mind does not scatter, it settles. Calmness is not the absence of emotion, it is the presence of balance. Excitement arises from desire. It feeds on imagination, on the promise of what could be. It lives in the future, in anticipation. Calmness lives in the now. It does not need to chase an outcome because it is content in the present. Many people confuse the two and chase excitement, believing they are chasing love, purpose, or destiny. But excitement often comes from lack, from the hunger to fill an emptiness inside. It gives temporary highs that fade when the novelty wears off. Calmness, however, arises from wholeness. It comes when the energy between you and another person, or between you and your path, does not demand performance but allows presence. When you meet someone who excites you instantly, the energy may feel magnetic, powerful, consuming. Yet, beneath that intensity, there can also be anxiety, a tension born from wanting to hold on to the feeling. When you meet someone who brings calm, there may not be fireworks. There may simply be peace, quiet understanding, and a sense that nothing needs to be forced. That peace is often overlooked because it doesn't stimulate the senses, it soothes them. But calmness is not dull, it is sacred. It is the vibration of truth that requires no exaggeration to be felt. In relationships, excitement often disguises attachment. The mind says, I want this, because it craves validation or escape. Calmness, in contrast, speaks through ease. It says, I am safe here. The difference is profound. Excitement burns fast and bright like a flame consuming everything in its path. Calmness glows slowly, steadily, giving light without destruction. Many chase the high of excitement because they fear that calm means boredom. But boredom only exists when the mind is addicted to noise. When you are truly present, calmness feels rich, alive and infinite. It is not emptiness, it is fullness without chaos. The ego thrives on excitement because it feeds on external stimulation. It wants to feel special, chosen, desired, and important. Calmness, however, belongs to the spirit. It does not need to prove anything. It exists beyond validation. When you grow spiritually, your nervous system begins to prefer calm over thrill. You no longer want relationships that exhaust you with emotional roller coasters. You crave steadiness, understanding, peace. The body recognizes this shift before the mind does. It starts to reject drama and confusion, even if they once felt exciting. It begins to crave environments and people that support tranquility. This is how inner evolution reveals itself, not through louder emotions, but through deeper serenity. When calmness enters your life, it might feel unfamiliar at first. You may even mistake it for lack of passion. But calmness is not the absence of connection. It is connection without chaos. It is two energies meeting in harmony rather than friction. You can feel deeply, love intensely, and still be calm. Real love does not live in the high peaks of emotion. It lives in the grounded stillness of understanding. When love matures, it stops seeking to overwhelm and begins to seek to align. That alignment feels gentle, not explosive. Excitement is easy to create. It thrives on novelty, fantasy, and speed. Calmness cannot be forced. It only arises where authenticity exists. It requires honesty, openness, and the willingness to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. Calmness teaches patience. It asks you to observe before reacting, to listen before speaking, to feel before judging. Excitement demands immediate satisfaction. Calmness invites reflection. One burns fast, the other endures. One distracts you from yourself, the other brings you back home. To choose calmness over excitement is to choose maturity over impulse. It means you are no longer impressed by intensity, but by consistency. You start to value emotional safety more than emotional stimulation. You begin to notice who brings peace to your nervous system instead of who triggers your insecurities. This shift changes everything: the way you love, the way you work, the way you live. Calmness is not passive, it is powerful. It is the ground on which true connection can stand. There is wisdom in still energy. Calmness allows clarity to appear. When the mind is calm, truth becomes visible. Excitement clouds judgment because it amplifies desire. It makes you see potential rather than reality. Calmness clears the fog. It shows you what truly is. This is why calm people make clearer choices, not because they feel less, but because they see more. They are not blinded by the noise of temporary emotion. They act from awareness, not from reaction. The universe moves in rhythm. Nature operates through calm cycles: sunrise, sunset, seasons, tides. Everything flows with patience. Excitement is the storm, calmness is the ocean beneath. The storm passes, but the ocean remains. When you anchor yourself in calmness, you stop being thrown around by emotional weather. You become like water, reflective, deep, and still, yet capable of immense movement when necessary. Calmness is not stagnation, it is mastery of energy. It is knowing when to move and when to rest, when to speak and when to stay silent. Many people say they want peace, yet they continue to chase excitement because stillness feels uncomfortable at first. Calmness exposes what excitement hides: your own restlessness. When you stop running from stillness, you meet yourself fully. That meeting can be uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. Calmness teaches you to exist without needing constant stimulation. It trains your awareness to find beauty in simplicity, depth in silence, meaning in the ordinary. When you begin to honor calmness, your relationships change. You no longer chase people who cause chaos just to feel alive. You begin to recognize that peace is the most valuable energy exchange. You value those who bring stability rather than unpredictability. You appreciate conversations that nourish rather than drain. You find comfort not in constant excitement, but in quiet presence. The more you evolve, the more your soul recognizes that calm is not the opposite of love, it is the highest form of it. Calmness is the language of truth. Excitement can deceive because it comes and goes, but calmness stays. It does not fluctuate with conditions, it exists independent of circumstance. When something or someone brings calm to your heart, it means the energy is aligned with your soul. You can breathe deeply, your thoughts slow down, and your inner world feels safe. That feeling is not small, it is sacred. It is the universe whispering that you have arrived in the right place, not through intensity, but through peace. There is a kind of silence that is not empty, but full. It does not come from the absence of words, but from the presence of understanding. Between two souls that recognize each other, silence becomes a language. It carries more weight than speech, more intimacy than touch. It is the space where energy speaks without sound, where awareness meets awareness. In such silence, there is no need to perform, to impress, or to explain. The stillness itself becomes the conversation. It is a meeting of inner worlds where the mind steps aside and the essence of being takes over. When two people can share silence without discomfort, it means that their connection has transcended the superficial. The world teaches us to fill every gap with words, to respond, to explain, to prove our presence. But silence requires courage. It reveals the true depth of a bond. If you can sit next to someone and feel complete without the need to speak, it means that both energies are in harmony. There is no tension to dissolve, no ego to satisfy. The heart feels safe enough to rest, and the spirit recognizes a familiar rhythm. This kind of silence does not isolate. It unites. In silence, masks fall away. The energy between two souls becomes transparent. You begin to see the other not through thoughts, but through presence. There is no narrative to maintain, no illusion to protect. The quiet draws out truth. What remains in that stillness is authenticity, the raw, unspoken essence of who you are. When silence is shared in peace, it becomes sacred space. When silence is filled with unease, it becomes a mirror showing where fear still hides. In both cases, silence teaches. It shows the true state of the heart without judgment. Many people fear silence because they equate it with distance. They believe that if words stop, connection disappears. But in truth, silence is where the deepest connection begins. Words can deceive, but energy cannot. The quality of silence between two souls tells you everything about their bond. If the silence feels heavy, it means something within is unresolved. If the silence feels light, it means that trust and acceptance have replaced the need for constant reassurance. When two people are truly aligned, silence feels like home. Silence is the ground where souls rest. It is the pause between breaths, the still point between two heartbeats. When you sit in silence with someone and still feel understood, it is because communication has moved beyond form. You are no longer relating through personality, but through presence. The silence becomes an invisible bridge that carries subtle feelings, gentle understanding, and mutual peace. There is no need to reach across it. The connection already exists. The stillness itself becomes the language of truth. In moments of deep silence, awareness expands. You begin to sense not just the person beside you, but the field of energy that surrounds both of you. The boundaries of self begin to blur, and what remains is unity. It is not romantic in the ordinary sense, it is spiritual. The silence between two souls is not about what is happening externally, but about what is awakening internally. It is the realization that connection is not built through effort, but through presence. Words can describe feelings, but silence allows you to experience them. When you become comfortable in silence with another, it means both of you are no longer trying to escape yourselves. Many conversations are a way to run away from inner noise, but when two people can sit quietly together, it shows that both have learned to sit quietly within themselves. Their inner worlds do not clash, they coexist. The peace within each amplifies the peace between them. That is the true essence of companionship, not constant entertainment, but shared stillness. Silence between souls is not static. It breathes. It has rhythm, like the ocean's tide. Sometimes it feels vast, open, infinite. Sometimes it feels intimate, like a gentle current between two shores. This living silence nourishes both beings. It creates a field where growth happens naturally, without control or force. Just as seeds grow in the quiet of the earth, relationships deepen in the quiet of understanding. There is no need to rush. The silence allows everything to unfold in its own time. The most profound truths are communicated in silence. When someone is suffering, your quiet presence can heal more than any advice. When someone is joyful, your silent witnessing amplifies their light. Silence becomes a sacred container that holds emotions without trying to change them. It is the space where compassion grows, where empathy blooms without words. In silence, you do not try to fix, you simply understand. That understanding is the purest form of love. In the modern world, silence is often seen as a void that must be filled. We fear stillness because it reveals our thoughts, our insecurities, our restlessness. But when two aware souls meet, silence becomes the highest form of communication. It is not emptiness, it is presence amplified. The energy between them vibrates in harmony, creating peace that requires no expression. You can see it in their eyes, in their breathing, in the quiet comfort of shared existence. There is a kind of silence that feels like prayer. When two souls share it, time slows down. The mind stops measuring moments, and the heart simply observes. It is a silence that cleanses, that grounds, that heals. It carries remembrance, the recognition that connection is older than language. Before words were invented, There was silence, and within that silence, the awareness of being together. That awareness still exists beneath every word we speak. The silence between two souls also teaches detachment. It reminds us that love does not depend on constant exchange. Presence alone is enough. When you can be silent together, it means you are no longer trying to take from each other. You are simply sharing the same space of existence. This kind of silence is not lonely, it is liberating. It allows each soul to breathe freely while remaining connected. It teaches that real closeness is not possession, but coexistence. True intimacy is not measured by how much two people talk, but by how much they can understand in silence. The most powerful connections do not need constant affirmation. They live in the quiet moments, the look that says everything, the breath that synchronizes without trying, the stillness that speaks louder than words. In that space, energy becomes transparent and love becomes presence. Silence between two souls is the meeting point of peace. It is the state where the mind dissolves and only awareness remains. It is not something you can force or create. It happens naturally when two energies vibrate in truth. When you find that silence, you recognize it instantly. Not through the ears, but through the heart. It feels like still water reflecting the sky, unshaken, unspoken, infinite. Every human being reaches a moment when the weight of the past, the noise of the world, or the confusion of the mind becomes too heavy to carry. In those moments, the instinct to run appears. We want to leave, to change the scenery, to erase what hurts. We tell ourselves that we are searching for freedom, but often what we seek is not growth, it is escape. The difference between the two is subtle yet profound. Escape is movement without awareness. Growth is transformation through awareness. Escape changes the surroundings. Growth changes the self. Many people spend their lives running from one thing to another. Jobs, relationships, countries, distractions, believing that each new beginning will bring peace. But wherever they go, the same emotions follow. The same fears, doubts, and patterns reappear in different forms. Because you cannot outrun what lives inside you. You carry your mind everywhere you go. Escape gives temporary relief like wind over fire. It cools for a moment but never extinguishes the flame. Growth, however, asks you to walk into the fire consciously, to understand what it is burning and to find the lesson within the heat. Growth is uncomfortable because it demands presence. It requires that you sit with pain, observe it, and learn from it instead of avoiding it. Escape promises quick relief. Growth offers lasting freedom. Escape distracts you from the wound. Growth heals it from the root. To grow is not to move away from what hurts, but to move through it. Every challenge, every disappointment, every heartbreak becomes a teacher if you stop running long enough to listen. The lesson is always waiting beneath the surface of discomfort. When something in your life feels unbearable, the impulse to escape is natural. But the wiser path is to pause and ask what part of me is trying to grow through this. The situation itself may not change immediately, but your relationship to it can. Growth begins the moment you shift from reaction to reflection. When you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this showing me? Escape loses its power over you. Awareness replaces avoidance. The storm remains, but you begin to see the pattern of the wind. The world often confuses movement with progress. We are taught that to be constantly doing, changing, achieving means we are growing. But true growth can happen in stillness. Sometimes staying where you are with patience and awareness is the bravest act. Growth does not always look like expansion. Sometimes it looks like endurance. To sit quietly with what is unresolved, to face what you fear without numbing it, to choose understanding over avoidance. This is the quiet work of the inner warrior. It is not glamorous, but it is sacred. Escape often disguises itself as self-care. You tell yourself you are protecting your peace, but sometimes peace is not protection, it is participation. Real peace is born from meeting life fully, not avoiding its demands. Growth requires you to stay awake through discomfort, to confront the patterns that cause repetition. Running from discomfort only guarantees that you will meet it again, in a new disguise, until you learn the lesson it carries. The universe repeats what you resist until awareness breaks the cycle. Growth is not about changing everything around you. It is about changing the way you perceive everything around you. When you begin to see with new eyes, the same circumstances can become new experiences. What once felt like punishment becomes a path of refinement. Every situation becomes an opportunity to expand consciousness. Escape shuts the door to learning, growth opens it wider. The difference lies not in what happens, but in how you respond. In relationships, the temptation to escape appears whenever love becomes challenging. People say they have fallen out of love, but often what they have lost is patience. Growth inside relationships means facing your own shadows reflected through another person. The other becomes a mirror showing your fears, your insecurities, your unhealed wounds. Escape blames the mirror. Growth studies the reflection. When you stop running from what relationships reveal about you, you begin to evolve from attachment to awareness. You start to love not for comfort, but for expansion. Growth does not ask you to stay in situations that destroy you. It asks you to live consciously, not reactively. Escape is driven by fear. Growth is guided by clarity. When you walk away in awareness, you carry the lesson with you. When you walk away in avoidance, the lesson follows you until it is learned. Growth is not about endurance without wisdom. It is about movement born from insight. Sometimes growth means staying and sometimes it means leaving, but in both cases the motivation is the same, not to avoid pain, but to understand it. The path of growth is the path of responsibility. It asks you to take ownership of your energy, your choices, your emotions. Escape blames circumstances. Growth transforms them. When you realize that everything external is a reflection of your internal state, you stop trying to fix the outside world and begin tending to the inner one. That is where transformation begins. Awareness is the soil in which growth takes root. Without awareness, escape becomes an endless cycle of repetition. Growth happens in layers. It does not arrive in a single revelation, but unfolds slowly, like petals of a flower opening to the sun. You begin to notice that what once triggered you no longer does. What once frightened you now teaches you. You respond with clarity instead of chaos. This is the quiet miracle of inner evolution. It does not shout. It does not seek attention. It simply changes the way you live. Escape cannot give you this transformation because it only moves you horizontally through experiences, while growth moves you vertically through understanding. When you choose growth, you begin to honor discomfort as sacred. You start to see pain as a messenger, not an enemy. Every emotional challenge becomes an opportunity to become more aware, more compassionate, more present. Escape interrupts this process. It silences the messenger and delays the learning. Growth listens deeply. It sits beside discomfort and says, "Show me what you are here to teach." That act of surrender is where wisdom is born. In silence, growth flourishes. Escape needs noise to distract itself. Growth thrives in stillness. When you stop running, the noise fades, and you can finally hear your own truth. Growth asks for patience, to sit through the uncertainty, to breathe through the unknown, to trust that clarity will come not from avoidance, but from presence. The moment you stop escaping, the energy that was spent running turns inward and becomes power. The pain that once felt unbearable begins to transform into awareness, resilience, and peace. Growth, not escape, is the real path to freedom. It is the journey of meeting yourself fully, the light, the shadow, the joy, and the fear, and realizing that nothing external can liberate you more than self-understanding. It is the courage to face your own reflection without turning away, the willingness to evolve through experience rather than hide from it. Growth is not easy, but it is honest. It asks you to stay awake when you most want to sleep, to stay present when you most want to run, and to trust that the discomfort you feel is not punishment but transformation in progress. Life unfolds in rhythms beyond human control. Everything that happens, every meeting, every opportunity, every heartbreak, moves according to timing. Yet timing is not just about the clock or the calendar. It is about alignment. It is the invisible intelligence of life that arranges events when your energy, awareness, and readiness meet at the same point. Timing is not something you can force. It is something you grow into. It reveals not only what is meant for you, but also whether you are ready to receive it. Timing is the ultimate test of patience, faith, and inner balance. When something arrives too soon, even if it is meant for you, it can collapse under the weight of unpreparedness. The universe never denies what belongs to you. It simply delays it until you are capable of holding it. Every delay is a mirror showing your current level of readiness. We often mistake waiting for punishment, but waiting is refinement. It is the process through which you are shaped into the person who can meet destiny with awareness rather than with impulse. Timing doesn't just bring what you want, it brings what you are ready to sustain. Many people chase after outcomes with restless energy. They believe effort can override timing. They push their plan. They force doors open that were never meant to open yet. But what opens through force often closes through imbalance. You can get what you want prematurely, but without the wisdom to hold it, it will slip away. The seed planted in winter will not grow, no matter how much you water it, because the soil itself is not ready. Growth requires season, not speed. Timing is the test of whether you can trust the natural order instead of your impatience. Sometimes life delays things you deeply desire, not to deprive you, but to protect you. You may think you are ready for love, success, recognition, or transformation, but if your energy is still anchored in old patterns, those gifts would only amplify confusion. The universe waits until your inner world matches the vibration of what you ask for. This is why two people can meet at the wrong time. The connection might be real, but the alignment is missing. Timing tests whether both souls have evolved enough to meet each other in balance rather than in need. It is not the absence of love that separates them, but the maturity required to sustain it. Timing teaches surrender. It humbles the ego that wants to control outcomes. The ego says, "I want it now," but life responds, "Not yet." The wise do not resist this. They understand that every "not yet" carries unseen preparation. The delay shapes the soul, strengthens awareness, and purifies intention. When timing finally aligns, what once felt out of reach arrives effortlessly because you are no longer chasing, you are aligned. To wait without bitterness, to act without force, and to trust without control, this is how timing tests the depth of your awareness. Patience is not passive, it is active trust. It is the art of aligning with life's rhythm instead of fighting against it. When you can move with time instead of against it, everything unfolds naturally. You stop seeing delays as failures and begin to recognize them as protection. Life does not rush truth. It allows it to unfold layer by layer. Timing refines what you think you want into what you are truly meant to have. Every unanswered prayer, every missed chance, every detour was not wasted time. It was sacred preparation. In relationships, timing is everything. Two people can love each other deeply yet still not be aligned in growth. One may be ready to evolve while the other still wrestles with fear. Love alone cannot close that gap, only timing can. Sometimes souls meet before they have learned enough to stay. The lesson then is not loss but readiness. When you are meant to reconnect, it will happen effortlessly. Not because you forced it, but because both energies have matured into harmony. Timing always brings back what is truly aligned, and it always removes what cannot yet stand in truth. When you begin to understand timing, you stop rushing your own evolution. You realize that everything that is meant to find you is already moving toward you just as you are moving toward it. Your only task is to stay aligned, to keep refining your energy, your awareness, your heart. The rest is handled by the rhythm of life. The flower does not open faster because the sun rises sooner. It opens when the inner pressure matches the warmth of the light. The same law governs human experience. Growth cannot be forced, it can only be allowed. Timing also exposes attachment. It reveals how much you trust life. When something does not happen according to your plan, you are faced with a choice: to cling in fear or to release in faith. If you cling, you create resistance. If you release, you create space. Life fills the spaces you create, but it cannot enter the places you block with control. The more you trust timing, the more peaceful you become. You begin to see that what is delayed is not lost, and that what is lost was never aligned. The universe operates through rhythm, not reaction. Day follows night, tides rise and fall. Everything in nature moves through perfect timing. Only the human mind resists this law, demanding instant results. But when you observe nature, you see that nothing rushes, yet everything is accomplished. The tree does not fight for sunlight, it grows patiently toward it. The river does not question its path, it flows until it reaches the sea. The same intelligence governs your life. Timing is not separate from you, it is you unfolding. When you surrender to timing, you begin to notice that everything you once chased begins to move toward you effortlessly. Opportunities, people, clarity, all appear when your vibration matches their frequency. This is not magic, it is alignment. The universe does not respond to desire, it responds to readiness. The test of timing is not about waiting idly, it is about becoming the person who can meet what you desire with awareness, stability, and gratitude. There are moments when life feels paused, when nothing moves, when doors remain closed, when silence replaces progress. These are not empty phases, they are seasons of integration. In those still spaces, your energy recalibrates. The soil of your inner world replenishes itself for the next cycle of growth. Timing pauses you not to punish, but to prepare. If you rush that process, you uproot what was meant to bloom later. Every moment of stillness carries purpose. Every delay carries wisdom. To live in harmony with timing is to live without resistance. It is to understand that life unfolds not according to your deadlines, but according to divine order. What is meant for you will find you, not sooner, not later, but exactly when you are ready to meet it with awareness rather than need. Timing is not an obstacle, it is the greatest teacher of patience, trust, and surrender. It reveals whether your desires come from alignment or from attachment, and it shows that true fulfillment does not come from what arrives, but from who you become while waiting. There comes a point in life when external signs lose their clarity. Logic contradicts emotion, desires blow with fears, and the mind, restless in its search for answers, becomes louder than truth itself. In these moments, the only reliable guide is not the opinion of others, not the plans written in notebooks, not even the outcomes that promise security. It is inner peace. Inner peace is the compass of the soul. It is the silent intelligence within you that points toward alignment, even when everything outside feels uncertain. It does not shout, it whispers, and only when the noise quiets can you hear it. Inner peace does not come from perfection or control. It comes from surrender. It is not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to remain undisturbed within it. The world around you will always change, people will come and go, circumstances will rise and fall. But the compass within remains steady if you learn how to listen. Every decision, every relationship, every path you walk must be measured not by excitement, fear, or approval, but by the simple question, does this bring me peace? The answer to that question is your true north. The human mind loves movement. It wants to chase, fix, analyze, and define. It looks outward for direction, believing that more knowledge, more validation, more control will bring clarity. But the compass of peace is inward. It functions through stillness, not through noise. When you learn to pause, to breathe deeply, to allow silence to fill the spaces that fear once occupied, a subtle knowing arises. It does not argue or explain. It simply feels right. That sensation of calm recognition is the soul's way of guiding you. When something is aligned with your truth, it brings expansion inside your chest, a sense of ease that cannot be explained logically. When something is not meant for you, your body tightens, your energy contracts, and even the smallest actions feel forced. These are the signs of your inner compass. The body and spirit speak a language older than words. Peace is not abstract, it is sensory. You can feel it in the way your breath deepens, your shoulders relax, your thoughts slow down. You can sense it when a situation, a person, or a path feels harmonious, even if it doesn't make sense to the mind. Inner peace does not mean life without challenge. It means that you have developed the awareness to respond instead of react. It means that you no longer allow the outer world to dictate the rhythm of your inner one. When the mind is calm, perception becomes clear. When perception is clear, choices become wise. Inner peace is not an escape from life's storms, it is the anchor that keeps you steady while they pass. The compass does not remove obstacles from your path, it simply ensures that you do not lose direction in the darkness. Many people confuse excitement with peace, chaos with meaning, intensity with connection. But peace is not dramatic, it is subtle, deep, quiet. It does not rush, it allows. When you live guided by inner peace, you stop chasing intensity and start cultivating balance. You learn that not every opportunity that glitters is meant for you. Not every invitation needs a yes. Not every challenge requires a fight. Peace allows you to discern the difference between reaction and intuition. It teaches you that sometimes walking away is strength, and sometimes waiting is wisdom. Inner peace grows when you begin to trust life rather than control it. The ego believes it knows the way. It wants to plan, to manipulate, to protect. But the spirit knows that the path is revealed step by step. The compass of peace works through presence, not prediction. It will not show you the entire map, only the next right step. You can feel that step because it brings relief rather than tension. It creates flow rather than friction. It may not be easy, but it feels true. Peace is not always comfort, but it is always clarity. To cultivate inner peace is to clear the space where truth can speak. You cannot hear your compass if your mind is filled with noise, the noise of worry, comparison, or endless thinking. Silence is the medium through which peace becomes audible. When you turn your attention inward, when you breathe consciously, when you let thoughts pass without grasping them, the compass begins to glow again. You do not have to search for it. It has always been there, waiting beneath the layers of distraction. Peace is not a feeling that visits you once and disappears. It is a practice, a discipline. It grows each time you choose understanding over reaction, each time you forgive instead of holding anger, each time you rest instead of rushing. Every small act of awareness polishes the compass, making its guidance clearer. Inner peace is not given to you by life, it is built by you through conscious choices. Each choice that honors your well-being, integrity, and truth strengthens the magnetic pull toward alignment. There will be moments when the world tests your peace. When conflict arises, when people misunderstand you, when plans collapse without reason. The test is not about what happens, but about whether you remain centered within it. The compass does not point away from difficulty, it points toward wisdom. It teaches you to stay grounded in self-awareness, even when the external world sways. Peace is not avoidance of reality, it is mastery of perception. It transforms reaction into observation, chaos into clarity, pain into understanding. When you live guided by peace, you begin to notice a shift in rhythm. You no longer hurry to arrive, you begin to move in harmony with life. You stop forcing outcomes and allow space for timing to unfold. You become more sensitive to energy. You can feel which environments drain you and which nurture you. The compass of peace helps you navigate not by logic, but by vibration. It tells you, without words, which direction holds truth and which carries illusion. Inner peace also reveals what is truly yours. When something is aligned with your path, it will not disturb your spirit. It will not require you to betray yourself or abandon your values. Anything that costs your peace is too expensive for your soul. You may lose comfort, control, or approval when following peace, but you will gain truth. And truth always leads to freedom. The compass of peace is the bridge between the human and the divine. It connects your awareness to the natural intelligence of the universe. When you align with it, you begin to move effortlessly through life, guided not by fear, but by trust. You realize that peace is not a destination at the end of struggle, but the direction itself. The path, the guide, and the goal all at once. Inner peace does not just show you where to go, it shows you who you are becoming along the way.